75 days after the Palisades fire, only four building permits have been issued. Now you might say, what is taking so long? What are you guys doing? Remember, this is California, Pacific Palisades. And when I saw this headline, I thought, hey, 4, that's pretty good. How long is this going to take? Besides forever, let's get into it. Let's see what this rebuild process looks like. Here we go. I want you to take a look at this. Get my yellow friend here. Shouldn't say that, should I? But you know what I mean. The pointer. So take a look at this photo here. Let's see if I can blow it up at all. No. All right. This is literally, if you're a real estate appraiser, if you're a building inspector, if you're a contractor, look at this hillside. That bad boy is steep. That is steep. I mean, that's how you get those tiered residences with all the views, right? Looking out to LA, looking out to the ocean, looking out wherever. You've got that whole thing going on. But you've got a slope, and some of these homes are just absolute. I mean, they're gone, right? They're gone. And what's left, you got to tear down. These are not easy homes to rebuild. So when I saw 4 permits have been issued, I'm like, so who's got a set of plans sitting in their drawer that didn't burn up, right? I mean, we got a backup set with the architect. Let's take a look. So my mind was, you've already got 4 permits issued after 75 days? All right. Pacific Palisades fire burned more than 6,800 structures, both homes and businesses. This is just the Pacific Palisades fire. Clearly, the rebuilding process is going to take a while, years. For many families, even if insurance covers the losses. And there's a huge thing about that, right? Fire insurance costs have gone through the roof. Insurance doesn't cover. What are you going to do? You going to take out a mortgage and maybe you can't get a fire insurance? Whole thing is really, really tenuous at this point. What should not take a long time are permits for people who lost everything to get started. I disagree. Because this is California, and this is how this goes. And even if you were in Texas or Florida or somewhere where you've got permitting process that's much, much more rapid, maybe Florida is not a good example, Texas, Oklahoma, where you can turn and burn. You don't have the environmental stuff there, though. And what's interesting here is who literally has a set of plans sitting around that literally didn't burn up in the fire? Who's got that ready to roll, that is ready to roll for building code as of, March 2025? Oh, yeah, I got one right here. Here you go. Let me submit that. Nobody. It doesn't happen. So we're going to read another story here in just a second, but I want to give you the bird's eye view, right? Indeed, Mayor Karen Bass vowed to streamline the process and made a big show when the first permit was issued. So in Milestone, LA approves first permits for rebuilding homes after Palisades fire. That's that hyperlink. The first permit approved was for repairs to a fire-damaged primary bedroom, bathroom, and garage of a split-level home near Rustic Canyon. All right, so when we say primary, we mean master. That's what we're saying. But we can't say master anymore because that would be racist. So we've got the primary bedroom and bathroom in a garage of a split-level home near Rustic Canyon. All right, so you got a home that hasn't been completely burned down, and you're going to go in and you're going to fix the whatever. So it's like, all right, we're going to build exactly to this. You get a couple of renderings, you get a couple of drawings. This is what we're going to do. Maybe you submit, we're going to build exactly what was here. Maybe the inspectors can see it. I don't know. I don't know what this home looks like, but clearly this is not a full rebuild. This is according to city records and Paul Lobana, the structural engineer for the project. The homeowner submitted plans to city inspectors February 17th. Right? A couple weeks. I mean, damn, maybe a week after the fire. I think the first fire was February. No, it was in January. So we're talking weeks after. But still, you got your architect together, drawings, revisions. All right, this is what we're doing. The process worked excellently. Yeah, but this is just for a small portion of a rebuild of a home. Who's been working on homes in LA for 40 years. The city was very courteous. Well, because no other permits have been essentially submitted. Like you're in the very early process of this coming through, and they want the PR. The city wants the PR of, yep, we're building like there's no tomorrow. Well, I mean, four is pretty good. Construction has already begun on the repairs, Labana said. Gary Leonelli, his wife and teenage daughter, were living in a newly built home near the Palisades main commercial strip for less than a year before the fire destroyed it. The longtime property owners decided to submit the exact blueprints as before. Okay. So there's clue number 2. They've already got the blueprints. So that's very rare. New home, burned down, submit the same plans, should be good. Yes. But how many of those are out there? A handful? A few? Where they've got a set of plans that they could submit and, hey, we're going to build the same damn thing. The one we just built, and we've been in there for less than, they've been in there 10 months. Can you imagine? All right, let's do it again. Round 2. This is going to be great. We're not going to do anything that would delay us, said Leonelli, a film composer. With the city approval in hand, Leonelli said that he hoped to commence construction once debris clearing was finished on his property. He wanted to beat an expected rush of rebuilds in competition for labor and materials. Yeah, you want to get ahead of this one. But getting ahead of this one, if you are putting together a full set of plans, and going through the process and scraping your dirt and 6 inches of new topsoil, all that stuff, it's going to take forever. My contractor said, you guys should just go while the getting's good because we don't know what's going to happen 6 months from now with everyone getting their plans approved, Leonelli said. Yeah, I mean, if you can do that, great. But now you are literally one of 4 rebuilds going on. Leonelli said that the previous teardown and rebuild of his home took more than 3 years and faced numerous delays. Standard. That's standard building in California, especially in this area of California, right? Los Angeles. He said he was pleased the new permit came quickly, but otherwise isn't enthusiastic about going through the process another time. 6 years? It's going to take longer this time? Maybe 4 years? No, they're going to cut it down, right? But then you're going to have a whole bunch of issues with construction. It didn't really meet code. You need to do that over again. How about we built it after the fires? Okay. And then the house burns down. You got a bunch of stuff like that. Every single time you cut corners, you're going to have issues. That's just how it goes. So you can make it fast, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the fast permitting process is good. So to wrap around my head around building this house again after we just did it is not something I want to do, Leonelli said. The first time I was very hands-on. This time it's going to be wake me up when it's over because he just did it. All the fun is gone. All of that, negotiating with inspectors, negotiating with your contractor, negotiating with your engineer, negotiating with your, all the folks that are involved in this process. And everybody takes a little piece of the pie, right? And that's why it's so expensive to build in markets like California. It's just hideous. The Times was unable to reach the owner or representative of the third property to receive a permit, a full rebuild of a home on bluffs overlooking Pacific Coast Highway. So how'd that one get done? I mean, did they already have a set of plans? Were they planning on rebuilding maybe? I mean, that's another, concept there. Now we're getting ready to tear it down. We've got full set of plans ready to go. Oh, hey, the deconstruction of our home has already taken place courtesy of the Palisades fire. Excellent. All right, let's scrape it and go. As of last week, 72 property owners had submitted rebuilding applications to the city. An additional 98 property owners submitted blueprints to LA County Department of Works for rebuilding, 76 in the Eaton fire and 22 in the Palisades fire area. And this is out of like 12,000, I think, homes total. The county is not approving plans until all debris is cleared complete on the property. I mean, that's another huge factor is just getting somebody out there to clear things out. I was watching Adam Carolla of Loveline, formerly of Loveline. He's got his own podcast. I love Adam. I think he's great. He says it exactly the way he does. He's an old, angry white guy, and he's just, this is what we're doing. Adam Carolla was walking down the street and he saw what he thought was maybe a building inspector, but it was actually a guy who was running one of the crews of the excavation of one of the oceanside properties on the Pacific Coast Highway. So he got to ask a whole bunch of questions of this guy running the excavation of all the fire debris, and they can basically be in and out on one of those basic sites in about 4 days. Once they get the okay, once all the testing's been done, and all right, is there asbestos on the site? Is there, so many of these properties are old, and you're gonna have asbestos. You just are. And my theory on asbestos is unless you're breathing it every single day, you know what? Put that popcorn down, scrape it, wear a mask, you'll be fine, right? Now, don't follow my advice. That's just on the one-time remodel, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. So anyway, you've got things like asbestos where you got to contend with that. And this is even before you can submit your plans. So, all right, we got an updated existing executive order clarifying the new accessory dwelling units, yada, yada. Wildfires aren't going away, said Bass. Man, I just did one podcast on Bass yesterday. It was going through her the texts and communications she was having while she was in, yes, Ghana, coming back for these wildfires. So she's on the hot seat there. Already fired the, fire chief. Whole thing is just, this is going to take years and years and years. The first permit was issued March 5th, less than 2 months after the Palisades fire destroyed or seriously damaged more than 6,000 homes. We want this to be happening on your lot too, said Mayor Karen Bass. Never happened, just not going to happen. LA County pledges to streamline this process. Yeah, good luck with that. The minute you start throwing in a whole bunch of permits, all right, we're overloaded. I'll bring some new people in. I'm sure that'll work out fine, right? You got this massive rush and you've only got bandwidth of, certain number of properties, certain number of permits, certain number of review processes that can be done at one time. And then you're hosed, then you just start backing that process up. And that's what we're going to see. The home, which got the first approval, was mostly intact and just needed repairs. The second approval went to a home that had been completely rebuilt a year before. The owner, which we just talked about, submitted the same blueprints. None of these approvals should have taken a week. They were no-brainers. That is just how government works. Especially that is how California works, right? Everybody knows, hey, you want a long build process? You want to take 3, 4, 5 years to build your home? You betcha. California, go there. Hey, build a nice custom home. It's going to take you. I used to watch a lot of Jeff Lewis. He was a real estate kind of developer, remodeler, watched him go through kind of the Great Recession. Actually, my ex-wife really enjoyed watching him. I didn't think it was terrible. It was always entertaining. But, watching the slow progress that he had on so many of those builds, and so many of these builds are, right here is where he was working on. And yet more than 2 months after the Palisades fire was put out, only 4 permits for rebuilding have been issued. All things considered, I don't think it's terrible. 0 would be terrible, but you got to look at where this is on the map. You got to look at your governmental structure. You got to look at your number one in the county was in Ghana while this happened, scrambling to get back. She was on the hot seat. Remember that interview she had with Sky News, and the guy was asking her, what do you have to say, Mayor, to your constituents that you were in Ghana while their homes burned to the ground? What do you have to say? There was no water in the fire hydrants when the fire departments went to put the hoses up to deter the fires. What do you have to say to that, Miss Mayor? And she's just like silent, just, oh. been flying back for a solid day. Residents in the Palisades fire zone are trying to figure out how to move forward, but there are several obstacles, including the city's permitting process and LA's looming budget deficit. That is another one. All right. Yeah, the governmental individual you need to see. Oh, you know what? Had to fire him because we got a big budget deficit. We got, we had to shrink down that. Yeah, Jimmy over there got fired. Juan, Jose, whomever. They got fired. Yeah, just going to have to throw your permit process in the stack over there and we'll hope for the best. People gathered at a city council committee hearing Monday to try to get answers, but more concerns are being raised as the city tries to rebuild from the devastating fire. No crap. I mean, we want to get going, one Palisades resident said. The Department of Building and Safety told the committee that so far the department has approved only 4 permits. That's where this came out, right? That's where this came out. It's like, okay, all right. So all in all, I mean, not terrible. I mean, awful would literally be 0. It's not great. Let's be honest. This is not great. But what did you expect? What did you expect? These fires are not new. And when you're building close to known fire-prone areas that insurance companies have been pulling out consistently for years, you know what I mean? This is like, all right, this is kind of how it goes. This is to be expected. 4 down and roughly 6,800 to go. That's what the article leads with next. At this pace, it's going to take years just to get all the plans approved. Correct. I've talked about that many times. Plans being one of the massive hurdles that people think, well, as soon as the lot is cleared, you can just start framing. You can just start loading in your concrete, get that foundation going, and just build willy-nilly. It's going to be great. Hallelujah. No, that's not how it works. I mean, you can have a piece of dirt sit there for years if you got a complicated set of plans, let alone any soil issues, any, soil engineering issues. You got a slide area, got an area that's prone to slide. You got a wet area, you got a creek coming down, you got, whatever is not going to be easy. To be clear, it's definitely not the homeowners who are the holdup. Never is. It just typically isn't. They've got a vested interest in getting this bad boy going. Let's watch this guy.
We want to get going.
The Palisades rebuilding. Residents at this city council committee hearing held on the west side were here to discuss how to move forward.
The blessing here is that we have been given an opportunity to show the world how you do disaster relief and rebuilding effectively.
But the Department of Building and Safety told the committee so far it has approved just 4 permits. Councilmember Tracy Park, who represents the Palisades, says that's not acceptable.
When I hear in a committee meeting like we had today that only 4 permits have been issued and we're on day 75 post-fire, that is concerning to me. And I don't think it is necessarily a lack of interest in rebuilding. I suspect it is indicative of systemic issues that we need to continue to focus on.
Mayor Karen.
Systemic issues? I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. And everybody predicted this is going to take forever. And there's no way to streamline this because that would require massive numbers of organizations and governmental entities to line up in a perfect storm to get this done. And that is not happening. This is Los Angeles. This is California. The cluster has yet to even emerge. The concern will be great when it does. I have great concern.
Bass hired a private consulting firm to oversee the recovery effort. The contract with Haggerty Consulting is $10 million, and some council members say that raises questions.
We have city departments who know how to do this recovery, who have been involved in recovery efforts of the past, and yet they can't be afforded the opportunity to hire the personnel that they need, but we can give a $10 million contract to an outside agency to help write a report for us. For me, just is, it's obscene.
Some worry the city's in such a delicate financial situation, it could make the recovery efforts and even dealing with routine city services that much more difficult. The city is facing a budget deficit of $1 billion next year.
The loss of business and tax revenue is going to impact us. I mean, we are looking at hundreds of billions of dollars in economic losses overall here. And I don't think there is any real easy way to sugarcoat this. It's a mess.
Yep. And that's why I say, hey, sometimes you got to take the loss as a win and go, hey, 4. That's not terrible. It's not awful. So when I say those comments, I am both, I'm on both sides of that coin because I have predicted this is going to take, you could have homes taking 8-10 years to get rebuilt. You just could. I mean, that's on the outside. And that prediction right there might, down the road, that prediction might just be absurd either which way, but I don't think so. I mean, 5 years on a rebuild, that's going to be pretty standard because you've got this all bottlenecked coming at one time and there's only so many contractors that can come in from the outside and get going. There's only so many architects. There's only so many. And this is all going to come in waves. Everybody's going to, they're scrambling to get those plans together. They're scrambling to get their sites cleaned. They're scrambling to do all this because they want to get back to the location that they really want. Or they're selling. Another thing that I've seen was a nonprofit organization was purchasing a home and they were saying, yeah, we're going to fix it up or we're going to rebuild it and sell it to a low income family. And you're like, all right, how does that make sense with the whole capitalism thing there? You propped up by, Doge money that's going to come to an end. So, you've got a lot of different things going on. You've got some people rebuilding. You've got a lot of people thinking about selling because they don't want to go through what we're talking about here, which is a, 3-year process that it was when things were normal, And the guy's like, yeah, wake me up when it's over. And I don't blame him. Wake me up when it's over and my house is done and I can move my bed in there and just live. But that's not how this is going to be. This is going to be just an absolute cluster for many years moving forward due to the magnitude and due to the bureaucratic layers of just nonsense that you've got not only in California, but in Los Angeles. Not even talking about like the Coastal Commission and any of those other overlays you've got going on there either. I mean, just one cluster after another. So, make sure you're subscribed, hit that notification bell, because we're going to be covering this one a ton. As we go through this process, this will be a really interesting one, because the numbers, you think 4 and 75 days is bad? Yeah, it's just going to get worse, because it's going to get bottlenecked. It's nowhere near bottlenecked, yet. And we're, 2.5 months in, right? Thanks for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.